He looks at his mom and he says, Mom, I don't want my dad to leave no more. I want my dad here with me. And I remember I looked over at this little boy and I thought to myself, I said, wow. I've never been so humbled in my life, because the man who I thought was on the streets, I was a gang leader. I was the big dog. I was the one everybody was afraid of. Everybody, when they saw me coming, they would walk the other direction. You know, in the gang circles, everybody respected me. But this man who I thought it was on the streets didn't mean nothing in my own home. A 5-year-old little boy had to speak on my behalf, because my words were meaningless, worthless. His words had weight, mine didn't. I remember my ex-wife looked at me, she says, you know what, Albert? She goes, you can have the couch if you want. I'm going to tell you right now, there is something different. You can be something special. And as we're these walking, living spiritual trees, we're supposed to be producing fruit. And what kind of fruit are we producing? Suddenly, when you apply that word to your life, suddenly discernment takes place. You start to discover things that you never saw before. And you start to see what's good and what's bad. And it's through that injection of God's love, not just in me, but you see what happens when it touches one person, that it can go and it can touch throughout the whole family. My mom got pregnant at the age of 15. My dad was 21, both of them gang members. And that was just the life. They lived in the barrio life. And as a child, as I grew up, you know, I was surrounded and just totally submerged in the gang lifestyle. And that's just the vibe that I lived. That's just what it was, the barrio life, the gang lifestyle. You know, people were getting hurt, people were getting shot, people were getting beat up, people were dying, people were going to prison. But it was also natural. It was just what the norm was. This is just the way it used to be. So when people would see me, they would automatically like, hey, what's up, little Albert, how you doing? So instantly I was accepted. So the homeboys, the gangs becomes the family. And you know what? Some of us, that's all we're going to have, and we'll take it. Because there's no other, we can't find love anywhere else, so that's where we go. With you, when I was a youngster growing up, and the older homeboys, I mean, they made me feel good. They took care of me, they helped me out. If I needed something, they took care of me. Somebody messed with me, they would defend me. You know, see, all those are all characteristics of what a dad would do for his own son. But of course, they did so many other bad and heinous crimes. But hey, you know what? When you think you're receiving love, you'll take it all. Because when someone's looking for love, they'll take it, even if it comes with all kinds of extra baggage. You know, I started at the age of 15 going to juvenile hall. I went in for my first time for guns, and then once I went in, it was like a revolving door. I couldn't make my way out of it. So here I am sitting in Chino prison at the age of 18 years old, and I look back on that, because what makes that so crazy is because at the age of 18, in that span of 365 days, I touched juvenile hall, I touched California Youth Authority, which is juvenile prison, men's county jail, and now men's prison, all within 1 year. And I think back on that and I think, wow, you know, to me that was like some kind of accomplishment. But that's just what my life was all about. That's where I was headed. And then when I got out of prison, here I am, 19 years old, fresh out of prison, and now I just think that I'm somebody. Now I'm pushing weight. Being a gang member, I used to tell people, I said, hey man, I'm never going to be a dad. I ain't with that game. That's not for me. That's for somebody else. That's TV show material. I ain't with all that. And here I am now, faced with this situation now that I'm actually going to have a child. And my daughter was born, and to say that it changed me, yeah, it did. But not in a way it should have. It changed a little bit, but not all the way. You know, and so I still continued and got involved in some other stuff, and I found myself involved in a very, 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 very serious crime, which led me to prison for 10 years. Now here I am. Well, you know what? This is just the way it is. This is everything that you knew was going to happen, and to be quite honest with you, I wasn't really surprised. I figured, oh, this is part of the road. This is what my life is leading to, and I'm at the point of my life where I'm exactly supposed to be. And then after I did 8.5 years straight, I paroled, and anybody would think, after doing 8.5 years, that you would change. I mean, after all that time spent, here I am, went in at the age of 20 years old, got out when I was 29. You would think that after all that now I have a wife, and now I have 3 kids, and you would think that I would have changed. No, I didn't. See, because now it's like they let an animal out the cage. Now here I am, so I feel like I missed all kinds of parties, I missed all kinds of this. I'm trying to make up lost time now. And I just dug myself deeper and deeper into the ground. And I remember my wife got pregnant with our 4th child, and she had him, and she had enough of me. And I remember how I felt. And I remember how ugly I felt. I couldn't even look at my kids, and I thought to myself, man, Albert, is this the man you've become? So what did I start? So when I felt such deep in that despair, what did I start doing? I just started flooding myself with alcohol, and things got in the gangs. Everything just started spiraling out of control. And now that my wife, because she found out that I've been running around on her, she divorced me. And I remember I was sitting there, I was thinking to myself, and I said, oh God, is this, I remember telling myself, well, is this the prize that I get for being a G? For being that gang member? For being the gang leader? And I thought to myself, I said, what are you going to do with yourself, Albert? And you know, it's one thing to do something to myself, but to do something to innocent people who didn't deserve it, I really felt even worse. It was like, you want to ruin your life, go ahead, but what about theirs? What you're doing to them? I remember sitting there and I was thinking to myself, I said, okay, God, I've tried everything. This is my last option. I'm going to give you a try, but I'm going to do the best I can to really give this godly thing, this Christian thing a try, because if this doesn't work, then at least I know I can say, hey, I tried. I had no other options. I went through the whole list. It's crazy because that next morning at about 9 o'clock, I was in prison. So I sat 4 months in prison. My ex-wife finalized a divorce. Me and her were officially divorced. Broke my heart to see that her last name went back to her maiden name, that I lost all rights to my kids. And I was busted up and I was just really hurting. And I says, you know what, God, why is this all happening? I want things to be better. But you know what? I'm not going to give up. Because you know what, at least I got to hold on. I just got to, something's got to change. Because I remember right before I went into prison, I remember my mother, she looked at me and she walked up to me. And I remember, I'll never forget this saying. She walked up to me, she says, Albert, you know what's the hardest thing about watching you? And I said, what's that, Mom? She was, it's like watching your father all over again. And I remember how that cut, because I remember being the victim, and now here I am being the aggressor. So I sat there on this couch and I'm talking to this pastor. I said, you know, Pastor, I don't even know what to do. I don't know how to pray. I don't know how to do nothing. I just need some help. And everybody says God's the ticket. And he began to work with me. He began to show me, began to speak with me. And I remember I was going to church and I would just sit in the back and I would just listen to the different stories and just see, wow, you know, and I would notice that I wasn't the only one that had really bad problems in my life. I want something better. I ruined our relationship. I ruined my relationship with my children. I need to work on all those. I need to fix that with my kids. Because I know what I've lost in you, but I still have to be a dad. So all this is taking place. We're going to church and things are happening. Of course, my kids are skeptical. Like, oh, Dad's, you know, they don't want to get close because they're too scared that I'm going to get taken from them again. It all came down. It all came to a head on this one night. I remember I was trying to talk to my daughter at the time. She was 10 years old, and I remember she was just so angry, and I was trying to talk with her, and she actually punched me in the face, and I couldn't believe it. And she goes, Dad, I'm just so mad at you. Why do you keep doing this stuff to us? And I remember I was standing there and I just, you know, couldn't believe what kind of person that I've turned into. My own child are striking me because I'm hurting them. My son looks over at his mom, and I'll never forget this. Looks at his mom and he says, Mom, I don't want my dad to leave no more. I want my dad here with me. And I remember I looked over at this little boy and I thought to myself, I said, wow. I've never been so humbled in my life, because the man who I thought was on the streets, I was a gang leader. I was the big dog. I was the one that everybody was afraid of. Everybody, when they saw me coming, they would walk the other direction. You know, in the gang circles, everybody respected me. Well, now it wasn't, I know now it wasn't respect, it was just fear. But this man who I thought it was on the streets didn't mean nothing in my own home. A 5-year-old little boy had to speak on my behalf, because my words were meaningless, worthless. It worked. His words had weight, mine didn't. I remember my ex-wife looked at me, she says, you know what, Albert? She goes, you can have the couch if you want. Because I remember that night I was laying on the couch and I looked up at the ceiling and I said, wow, God, there is something about you. There is something real. There is something true about you. Here I am out of prison. Well, I thought my family was gone, my freedom was gone, my children, my wife, my marriage, everything was gone. Now here I am laying on my couch in the house with my kids and my ex-wife and my kids. And I was so excited. I was just thanking God, going, oh, Lord, thank you. Thank you so much that I can even just be in this position. This is truly my life's greatest miracle. Because I remember my ex-wife looked at me one day and she says, you know what, Albert? And I go, what's going on? She says, let's get remarried. And you know, people say that God's not real. But on that day I understood that God was real and that God really does grant second chances, because I got my family back. And only by a miracle from God can make that happen. So as you see me sitting here today, I sit here a man who not only who's been changed, but has been blessed, who's been given a second chance at life. Because see, when God gives you a second chance, He's just not talking about you. He talks about everything that you're connected to. And I'm living proof of that. That whatever you're going through, whatever's taking place in your life, God can change it. I'm a sitting, living example of that happening. And I just want to let you know out there that God is amazing. He can do amazing things. And I'm just one of millions of stories of what God's done for people and their families. And He can do the same for you. God bless you.